I'm Mark Reilly from the Limerick Post, and this is the Limerick Post show. Today, I am joined by Owen Colgan, actor, comedian, and star of Howdy Box TV show. Owen, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Mark. You're a lovely man.
I don't want to, repeat every other interview we've ever done, but I have to jump straight into it. Howdy Box, what a show! Like literally, just
Thanks.
possibly it's one of the funniest shows I've ever seen. I rewatched it again, I'd say 2-3 weeks ago. And it's just, it's honestly just, it's a highlight of shows. So how, where did that start? Was it college? I read something that it was college that you started it, and it just took off from there.
Eddie Durkin and the Viper, they were doing a course in Ballyfermot's media school or something like that.
Yeah.
They had to come down to Mayo one weekend to do like a project. So they brought down a few cameras. They brought down guys that were doing sound, cameramen and all that stuff, camera women. And they came down to Mayo and they just started filming small little videos. And then from there, then they started asking a few of us do we want to be in it, like myself and Salmon and whoever else, Fringe Toast.
Yeah.
So then slowly but surely the world started building up, and it was kind of like mockumentary improvisation style. So at the beginning, the pressure was off because you could just say whatever you wanted and they'd edit out all the bad stuff and just pick up the good stuff.
Yeah. So did that annoy you at any stage, or did you care? Like if you were getting paid for, did you care that it was being edited, or did you?
Well, no, because the thing about the edit is we'd be on camera like talking for 2 or 3 hours, talking absolute crap. Yeah, and then you might get a couple of minutes. Well, see, the bits of gold are in between there, so when we saw it on camera, we're like, oh, Jesus, we're fairly funny, but not realizing that there's a load of crap that you have to get through as well to get to that point. So no, we didn't care. As long as the episodes were funny and they were entertaining and they were a bit weird, we were happy to go with them, And it was mostly just, we were like shocked that we were even working, we were shocked we were getting paid to be filming, because there wasn't really a job at the time. So we were going with the flow.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, are you surprised how big it kicked off? Like the legs it took, it was just it was absolutely massive.
Yeah, no, it happened over the 5 or 10 years really, where it went from YouTube to the television, maybe a bit less. So it was a slowed growth in some ways, but then in other ways, when you look back, you're like, Jesus, that's kind of crazy that happened, because it was just so random. Like none of us were really thinking that this could be a career. So the fact that we kind of got onto TV and then made a film, it's still a bit strange to even see it on there now. You're kind of
absolutely. But that's to bring up that. Did you was it always comedy for you and acting, or what? How did that happen? Was it when you were younger, did you lean towards comedy acting straight away, or did you just?
No, because you see, I know it's even that long ago, but back in the early noughties, nobody was thinking really about, unless you wanted to be stand-up comedian, that was really the only job at that kind of time. There was no sketch videos or anything like that really going on. Nothing, maybe Bebo. I don't know if you remember Bebo.
I do, of course, yeah.
Yeah, there was a bit of stuff going on there, and that's kind of when it seems social media kicked off. So, it just went from there. Yeah, it was, yeah. But harder in some ways, but easier in the sense that, not so many people were doing it. So we didn't have so much competition either, but before that, no, I was never thinking about becoming an actor or becoming a comedian or becoming a stand-up comedian or whatever. So it just kind of took off like anything really. It just slowly kind of built up over time. Yeah.
But I suppose what do you prefer actually? Simple as, do you like the acting more? Do you like comedy more? Or which one, I suppose, appeases most to you?
I don't even know, to be honest. Sometimes I'm I think nowadays I like stand-up comedy more because, you can kind of get away with a bit more. You can say things more that are kind of crazy. Yeah, it's more natural. Exactly. It's more me. And you have to edit yourself less, whether stuff for the internet now, you have to be more careful what you say.
I was actually just about to say that, because cancel culture now is just rife.
It's absolutely rampant.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely, it's stupid. To be honest,
it'll probably go full circle, maybe.
Yeah. It might go back. It might go back way too bad.
But might go back to the Wild West times. Yeah.
Does that affect your material?
It does a bit, because if you're listening to the news all the time, or if you're even scrolling through social media and there's a new controversy, you're kind of thinking, Jesus, that's, you don't want to miss out on anything like your career or anything like that. So then you start putting a filter on yourself and you start thinking
you're muzzled. Yeah,
you're kind of muzzled a bit, Jan. You're thinking, is is that the right thing to say, or is that an old-fashioned opinion, or is that just me thinking I'm trying to become woke or whatever? So already putting a barrier up in front of you, it kind of it puts a bit of a filter. It kind of puts a bit of a squeeze on your ideas. So you just have to get through that. And I think,
have you had a bad reaction like on stage? Has anyone called you, like, is there any hecklers or any, like, have you ever had a bad experience, let's say?
Well, I mean, everyone has done gigs that they've bombed, and I've definitely bombed plenty of times, which is, it's very humbling, because you're kind of like, ooh, can't come into this town again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, everyone goes through that. So, but generally, no one's ever been like, oh, you shouldn't have said that, because at the end of the day, like, I think they know the position I'm coming from. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And most people who are going to a comedy show understand that they're going to be saying, the comedian's going to be saying things just to almost get a reaction from you, not even if they necessarily believe it. It's just more so entertainment.
Trigger. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So sometimes on the internet, like, it gets blown out of proportion, like, but actually in real life, I don't think people are as offended in real life as the internet.
Yeah, oh God, no. Yeah.
But then again, we're all going towards the internet anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all going to become robots.
Yeah, it's possible. We're slowly doing it anyway.
Exactly. There you go.
Like, for comedy, so do you, I suppose the easiest way to say this is, like, do you ever get, like, what's it like? What's the experience like before going on stage? Do you still get nervous? Do you ever get nervous? Like, I read, now this might be true, this might not be true, but you can verify it. Did you think of quitting comedy at any stage?
That was kind of that headline. I remember seeing that headline, and it was blown out of proportion a small bit, but
as always, yeah.
Yeah, but there was a time where I was thinking before the gigs, I was like, oh, just too much stress going on around the gigs and like organizing places. And then I was quite nervous before the gigs and everything like that. And yeah, I was kind of, for a while there, I was like, oh, this is a lot of pressure. I don't really think I like this as much as I should. But then during lockdown, I kind of got to think about it, and I was like, you know what? It's actually a great opportunity, and a kind of like a nice thing to be able to go up in front of people and actually talk to them and have people's attention for an hour.
Yeah.
Because with the way the world is now, like, it's kind of hard. It's hard to have your own attention on a video. Never mind, absolutely, like, listening to someone talking.
If you can make people laugh, which you absolutely can, you're extremely funny. But it's a gift. I mean, especially times as well when people are, like we said, just so serious and so sensitive.
Yeah.
It's nice to have someone who can.
Well, that's it. You see, yeah, you're dead right, because the way the world is now, people are quite serious. So I think now more than ever, we just need to be making comedy, and the dafter the better. Like, just as long as you're making someone smile, that's all that matters.
But it's so true. Yeah. Like, it's absolutely brilliant. Just actually to switch it up, the sleeping experiment.
The sleeping experiment. I read something that you were involved in some new role as sleeping experiment. Am I wrong? Oh yes, you're right. Yeah. That's like,
I'm so nervous there for a minute. You're like, what's this?
No. It's going to be happening in Limerick. Actually, I'm going to be filming there on October 30th, I think. Okay. But where did you hear about that now? Tell me more. Who's your researchers?
Just on floating through Google, as you do there earlier on. And I read something about it, and I was like, and I read more about it. It was like, it's kind of more of a thriller, more detective. And I was like, really? I was like, that, like, to me, I was just taken aback that you would be in something like that. So do you have any info? Can you give any info on it? And it's a more serious.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it's more of a serious role. Yeah. But the guys that are working on it, I'm going to be doing a Skype call with them one of the days to sort of nail down. This sounds like such industry talk. I'm going to nail down a couple of ideas, but they have me down for a character. I think we're filming in Limerick, actually. We're filming the day after the gig.
I'll be catching up with you then. So if you're not too busy,
catch up with me then, and I'll fill you in on more detail. But actually, look out for it in the cinemas.
Yeah, I will, of course. So comedy, acting. What started you off? What were your influences?
I like Eric Andre, Tim Heidecker, Nathan Fielder, I think his name is.
Yep.
What you call that lad? Richard Pryor. Just, it depends. I go through different ones, and then sometimes I like Theo Von stuff. I watch some of his stuff.
Brilliant.
Yeah. You just randomly, like, I find like sometimes you kind of get sick of one person and you move on to the next one. So I didn't listen to Bill Burr like in a few years, and now I'm kind of back listening to his podcast, and it's like I think, oh yeah, that's nice. He's a funny guy. Like, and also, I actually love watching movies that are not meant to be funny. I think they're the best movies in the world. If you get a chance, there's two called Fatal Deviation and one is called The Room. It's just because they're in it. They don't know that it's
The
The Room is
is
so good.
it's
Oh,
historic.
Jesus.
It's
Oh, hi,
absolutely
Mark.
brilliant. Yeah, it's just like how that was just that is
I
just
know.
do you know what that is? That's movie folklore. Like that is just one of the goats.
It's unbelievable. Have you seen Fatal Deviation?
No.
Oh, Jesus. You're in for a treat tonight. Go onto YouTube, type in Fatal Deviation, and it's Ireland's first ever karate movie.
Oh Jesus.
It's unbelievable. Mikey Graham is in it.
What am I in for? Like, is it?
You're in for Mikey Graham. He's one of the bad boys, and this fella comes back to avenge his father's death.
Right.
And it's set in Carlow, I think.
That's just brilliant. Like that is just you set it up perfectly already. Like so, it's probably actually the equivalent of watching you try and do karate on Paddy Power with Darren Till. That's the image I have. That's the image I have in my head right now. Like,
well, there's a lot more flexibility in this movie. There's a lot more bending going
on. Like I suppose with acting and like I hate to like you're probably sick to death to talk about Howdy Box, but I just as a fan myself, I just honestly I love asking these questions.
No, ask away, no worries.
Have you like I assume you get this a lot as well on social media? Has anyone said right? There's a lot of people asking for you to come back. Have you thought about it, or is it a no or what?
It's just that like people to say to us like sometimes you get messages from people wanting to do another series, and I think we all would like to do it, but
yeah,
if the money boys like RTE or Neft or whoever are not really doing anything, then it's kind of in limbo until they decide something. Unless you went a different avenue about it, like. But it seems like, and also as well as that, like some of the lads, they kind of they're doing their own lives as well, like, and
that's what I was going to say. Like,
people are in different countries, people have families, so it's kind of hard to. It'd be quite hard to get at the time to do it, like. But if we could nail down a time to film, then I think it'd be great. Do it like the Golden Girls.
Yeah, it would be way better. It'd be so much better.
Well, yeah, it'd be hopefully at least up there close, because Golden Girls was an absolute classic.
Yeah. So like you're open to it basically. You would do it.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, like you get to record, talk shit with your friends and get paid. Sure, like why wouldn't you do it? Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. But like you'd have to do it. It'd have to be in taste, it'd have to be.
Yeah.
We'd have to evolve the storyline a bit, like, and talk more about mortgages and maybe putting tax on the car.
Talking about Simon Harris and how they've dealt with COVID.
Exactly. Exactly.
I actually was watching, was it yesterday? I think I was watching, or the day before. I was watching your No Shame podcast with Paddy Hoolan.
Oh yeah.
I was absolutely brilliant. And it was just, you again were talking about how you started and like even the money you were making at the start, just the fact that you had the chance with your lads to just kind of take the piss and be out there and just make fun scenes and get paid for it. And is that passion still there with you, or is it just purely it's a job to you?
No, well, it's a good question, because when it started off, it was just having a bit of crack. The whole point was to have a bit of crack, and then you got to pay a few $100. You're like, oh, that's great. But mostly it was the crack. But then the way social media came in, it turned it more into a job, and you're like, okay, I have to upload. If I don't upload 3 times a week, someone else will be uploading 6 times. So therefore, I'll get forgotten about. And then it becomes more serious, and then it becomes more like a chore as opposed to something that you're doing just for the sake of doing it. Like, so it kind of, but now I'm trying to go back to a way of just enjoying it first and foremost, because you have to be enjoying it. Otherwise, what's the point? So in that sense, I'm trying to slowly get back to more fun, kind of easygoing, enjoying the moment, but also with the discipline mixed in, because something that I didn't have before was discipline, with the Howdy Box days. If they give you a script, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I learned that off. And then you'd never look at it.
Yeah, but that was kind of the beauty of it, though. I knew, like, I think from watching half the scenes that it's improvised and a lot of it's off the cuff. And it's just, honestly, it has you in stitches. Like, it had me in stitches for...
I think it's the rawness. Like, it was... most of the stuff on YouTube is all improvised. So I think because it's improvised, it's coming from a place of truth, because we're just talking, it's coming out.
Yeah.
So we're just... A lot of the time we were just saying things just to kind of survive in the scene. So... Yeah. I think that's why that resonated. But then when it went onto TV, it became a bit more bland, because you have to appeal to a wider audience then, Exactly. Yeah. That's the nature, like, of anything that really goes onto TV, or sometimes when there's money involved, because the people who are funding it, they're thinking, how do I get the most people watching this as possible? And it's kind of like, if you walked into a pub and you told a joke, you wouldn't expect everyone in the pub to be like, oh, that was a great joke. Some lads would be looking at you going, that's not funny at all.
A packet of scampi fries off the head, like, yeah. There's
exactly,
yeah. It was the best thing I've ever read. It was absolutely hilarious. I was like, that is the most specific piece of information I've ever heard in my life. Like.